Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Dear Cheaters. I'm Robert Kelly.
I'm Gabby Bryan.
And we are back.
We're back.
I'm glad to be back, and I'm actually excited about this episode. We have a very interesting guest on today, a different angle. Usually we'll have somebody who thinks they're being cheated on or who has been cheated on. Today, which is, I think a first, we have a cheater.
Recovered cheater.
And which it's funny. It's not funny, but to me, it's because I if you read this guy's profile that we have, I mean, we're very similar. We have a lot of similarities in our lives, and being an ex-cheater, being somebody who was confronted with this, addiction. I mean, you can't. People think, oh, why'd you cheat? Listen, it's just like, why do you eat? Why do you do drugs? Why do you do heroin? Why can't you stop drinking? And I think that, out of all the addictive personality ones or the addictions, food in this one, cheating, is one of the hardest to kind of acknowledge.
Right.
Because food you need, and cheating, it's just sex. It's just, you got to get laid. And for men, it's like, that's what men do. We get laid. We're cavemen. We're not supposed to be monogamous.
What is that voice?
That's the voice in my head.
Oh, it's bad. You should.
I was doing the voice that women do.
It's kind of like an old French man.
What is it?
Oh, I'm a cheater. And who is that?
I really did become an old French guy. I want a croissant. And
oh, look at this girl's ass. She's so. I want to cheat on my wife. Oh, that one vampire.
Now you're a vampire. That's great. So yeah, I relate to this guy, and I was reading it. I'm like, oh my. I mean, of course, I don't relate to, read some of the stuff off for us, Joe, please.
So Rick is 55. He lives in Los Angeles. He's a self-proclaimed serial cheater. He's been cheating his entire life. He's cheated in every relationship he can remember. He's married to his second wife. They've been together for 8 years, and she basically gave him an ultimatum. So Rick is in the motorcycle club lifestyle, and if you know anything about that, it's not a lifestyle that's very conducive to monogamy. No. I'll let him give you the details on what club he was in, and if he wants to. Yeah. But his wife gave him an ultimatum when he got close to actually becoming a patched member. And within those clubs, there's a lot of cheating going on. And for a guy who's a self-proclaimed serial cheater, that's a bad environment.
What a tough woman to be able to go, hey, listen, let me tell you something. I'm out of here if you don't stop. It's
cool.
That's a tough woman to be able to put her foot down
to a motorcycle guy.
Yeah, and I love it too, because he's like, I'll let him tell you what gang, because you don't want to get your ass whipped, do you, Joe?
Oh yeah, no. I know enough not to say anything out loud without permission.
Yeah, exactly. His rules. Yeah, well, I mean, I relate to him, of course, not to being in a motorcycle gang or being tough, or
you should join one. And maybe it'll toughen you up.
I had a Vespa once.
That's so not even close. That's horrible news. I hate that I know that.
I had a Vespa, and I called it the White Unicorn.
Why?
I don't know. I just gave it a nickname. And I drove to the cellar with it, and I made Keith get on it and hold on to my belly button as I drove him around the block.
I would die to see that.
Yeah, they actually made fun of me so bad I got rid of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I sold it to a Russian.
I would have bought it from you.
What would you do with it?
Ride it, immediately crash it,
exactly.
Be sent to the hospital.
Yeah, I got to deal with your dad. I'm not doing that.
He'd scream and yell.
He'd sue me. Now, is Rick still in the motorcycle gang, or did he give that up too?
As far as I know, he has removed himself from that situation entirely, and he's now in like a 12-step recovery program for sex addiction.
Oh wow!
Right, which is that's a tough thing to do, man. Tough thing to do. I've been to one SA meeting in my life, but here I was such a sex addict. I was like, I wanted to bang the old lady hosting the meeting.
Right. Just to see if you could conquer.
Yeah, it was weird. I had to kind of go into AA. I had to go to therapy. Therapy is what helped me, because it was a neutral place I could go and tell somebody everything without it ruining my life. I can't go to my friends and tell them my deepest, darkest, because they'll fucking tell somebody.
They'll immediately tell something. And that's the thing, when you get a therapist, you realize that you've been annoying the living shit out of your friends for years.
Well, I couldn't even talk to my friends about that shit.
Yeah, well, your friends are assholes.
Yeah.
You have the worst friends.
Yeah, I do. They're terrible people.
They're bad people.
They're bad human beings.
Yeah.
But, and I can't tell my wife.
Why?
I'm going to say, oh, man, I was at the store today and this chick, I wanted her to suck my dick so bad. What's she going to go? Well, what'd you do, honey? Did you work through it? No, she's going to go fuck off and tell me to leave.
And break the windows in the house.
Yeah. I can be like, oh, I was at the show the other night and this girl that blows me every time I go to Tampa showed up and she wanted, and I was going to let her do it. And, and then I pulled out in the last second and I didn't. I'm so proud of myself. Good for you, honey.
Great, honey.
Yeah, exactly.
Dinner's ready.
So you did such a good job. What? Let's get some eggs in you. You know what I mean? You go to a therapist and say, hey, I had an incident this weekend, or this girl's calling me, or this girl sent me.
I hate how you say girl. That's what's bothering me right now, because I'm picturing a girl, a young girl, where really it's a woman. These are 45 to 47-year-old women.
No, I haven't cheated since I was in my 30s, honey. I've been married for 14 years.
No, I know.
Plus 2 years before that, they were girls.
Right.
What do you think I was baiting? At 35, I was banging, or 32, I was banging 50-year-old women. No.
Yeah.
I was banging dummies like you.
Ew.
I was banging chicks with hopes and dreams like you.
I abandoned those during the pandemic. I have none.
Who thought I could help them in this business. All right. Well, Gabby, our guest, is here for the show. I'm very excited to have him on the Dear Cheaters. So why don't you introduce him like you always do? Because you're the introducer. You're much better at it than me.
Wow. Thank you so much. We have Rick on the podcast. Rick.
How you doing?
How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. Life is good now. It was bad. It was rough a while ago, but it's good.
I was telling Gabby, we usually, so far we've had people who have been cheated on. And then when we got the we got the info on you, where we actually have a cheater, and I read your story, I was telling Gabby how much I related to it myself. We have very similar circumstances where it was, listen, either you get better or I gotta go, pretty much. So can you tell us what kind of happened?
Yeah, give me a second. It's kind of tough. I don't know where to begin. So basically, back in July 9th, my wife walked out. She had enough of my crap, and it just crippled. Excuse me. It crippled me. Just took everything out of me. And I had to take a big step back and look at my life and what I was doing and all the things that I've done to her for years. And we've been married. We just celebrated 8 years this past December.
Congrats.
So, I was glad we made it. So my story is that, just for years, or probably the last few years, I started cheating more on my wife. And more of it, not physical, but more of like my wife would call it, online cheating. I would talk to girls online. Facebook basically it was like my big fishing pond. You cast a line out there and sooner or later somebody's going to bite. So I would always talk to somebody. I was also riding with the motorcycle club that wasn't really good. So I was out riding with the motorcycle club, drinking on the weekends, chasing other women. And then I would come home and yell at my wife, like, where's my dinner? Where's my food? Why isn't this clean? Just, and now that I look back at it, I just think, wow, I'm surprised she stayed with me this long. So, and I had this attitude that I was the shit. You know, I can have anybody I want, and if you don't like it, leave. I can replace you tomorrow. And there was one day I sat there and told her, I said, I'm at the point where I wouldn't care if you left. Well, give it a week later, and she took me up on that and said, guess what? I'm leaving. She packed her shit and walked out. And I was like shocked. I was like, you're serious? And then I got an email a few days later.
Right. Yeah.
That she had filed for divorce. And man, I was gonna do anything and everything to get my wife back. So I reached out to some friends that were in AA meetings because I'm a competitive bodybuilder and I've been competing for about 25 years. So to do some of that, I also had to do what everybody does in that sport. To be at the national level I was and to win the way I was, you go to the dark side and you take performance enhancing drugs. Well, as the years went on, I didn't realize how much it would change my mental attitude. And it just slowly and progressively changed how I was. And I never realized it. So when she left, I had to reach out to someone and say, hey, I think I've got a problem. You know, all these years, everybody's been telling me this. And I was like, I denied it. So a friend pointed me to AA. So I started going there, and then another friend pointed me to another place called Sex Love Addictions. And so I've just involved myself in all that and, you know, backed off the steroids and started cleaning myself up. Did everything I could to show my wife, man, that it's not the life I want. And slowly but surely, she started to talk to me. Because like she blocked me on my phone, she blocked me on all social media. She just had nothing to do with me. And so slowly but surely, she would take a call or she would take a message on Messenger, and she would reply. And then one day we had lunch for a little bit, but she still kept her distance, and which I totally understand. I would have. I'm surprised she even talked to me after everything I've done. I mean, there's probably not enough time today to tell you just the jerk I was being. So, but again, you know, after a few months, then we actually got together and sat down and talked, and I showed her everything that I was doing, and you know, and at that time she still said, "I'm glad you're doing it. You're going to be a better person for it, but I don't think this is going to work. I can't do this anymore." So I just told her, "I'm not giving up. I'm not going to fight." So I fought and fought. I kept doing everything I could, kept doing these meetings. I went back to church, just everything I could do to center myself and be a better person. And one of the things was I deleted Facebook. And I did that in front of my wife so that she knew, hey, I'm not, because I've done this before. I would deactivate Facebook. I would deactivate all social media. And sure enough, a couple months later, I'd go back on.
Yeah.
The same thing would happen again. I'd start talking to other women. So this time I said, look, I'm going to delete it, not deactivate it. I want you to see me hit that delete button.
Let me ask you a question. Can I ask you a question? How long have you been, I would say, because I've been sober and Alcoholics Anonymous for 36 years. Like I said, I had a very similar situation where I was going to lose my wife, now girlfriend, then literally just said the same thing. She said, I'm going to, and it's funny because it was, you know, with the technology really was really a hard thing, because when camera phones and social media and the ability to act out my addiction became easier with all these things.
The tools.
When somebody could send me a video of them naked or naked pics, or go on the computer and do all this stuff. It was just easier to cheat, and it was harder for me to resist because somehow I felt like I wasn't cheating. I felt like it was something else. It wasn't real because I wasn't doing it. And she found out all this stuff in all one fell swoop. And I got the same thing. And how long ago, first of all, how long ago was it? How long have you been clean or away from it? And also, what was that moment inside of you? Because I remember when she asked me, my wife said, if my girlfriend at the time said, if either you change or I go. And I said, I didn't say yes. I said, can I have a couple days? Because I know me. I'll say yes. I'll tell you what you want to hear. I am a master manipulator. I know how to do this. I said, I need to make sure I'm real about this. And I actually took a couple days and talked to my friends and finally every friend of mine was like, you're a piece of shit. Just go be a piece of shit. Leave her, let her go. Be you. You're garbage. Be you. And there was only one friend who said, try to get help. Try to get help. Treat it like the program. And if you can't do it in 8 months, you can let her go. But at least you tried. If you don't try, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. And I did try. And now of course, 17 years later, we're a house and a beautiful son and stuff like that. And
that's great.
I love my wife. And I cry all the time too, dude. You're crying right now, and I'm a sympathetic crier. But dude, I'll be looking at my wife in the living room, and I'll just start crying. And she's like, "Why?" I'm like, "I fucking love you." You know what I mean? It's just when you suppress those feelings for so long, you learn how to cut them off. When you reconnect those chords, it's overwhelming. So when was that? How long have you been like sober or clean off of this, your addiction? And what was that moment?
Well, my addiction is really, I need that attention. My addiction is seeking other women and probably steroids. And so the day she left, I stopped talking to everybody because as much as I was talking about how big I was and I can have anybody I want and you can leave, when it came right down to it, I didn't want them. The woman I wanted was right there in front of me the entire time.
Right.
So when she left, man, it was that moment.
Wow.
I was done. The day she left, I even called my buddy that was in the club and I said, hey, I can't hang out. I can't ride with you guys anymore. I was getting ready to prospect for a well-known MC club and I had to back out. And I lost a lot of them. A lot of them were really pissed. They were really pissed about this. But some of them were really cool about it. And they said, hey, don't ever let anything come between you and your wife. Right. I had one of my brothers even tell me, I knew this was going to happen because you were out there fucking around all the time. Yeah. And I was kind of shocked by that because I thought, we're a motorcycle club. This is what we do. We drink, we chase women. This is what my idea was. So, so it's been, I haven't counted the days, but I know I'm coming up on 7 months of not talking to other women.
That's good.
I've got a sponsor, so I work my steps, and I know when I have those days, I reach out to my sponsor. If not, I reach out to people from the church. It's gotten to the point where me and my wife, because my wife has 5 years sober, she's a recovering alcoholic.
Right.
So now we're to the point where we can talk about our steps. I can come to her and tell her I'm working step 4.
Right.
And it's hard. I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad about myself because I have to look at myself and take that inventory. And so we can talk about that. We have that common, we have that in common.
Right.
So when I'm having a bad day, I'll tell her and she'll get out a daily scripture or a devotional that she has from her AA books, and she'll read those to me and we'll go through this together.
Wow.
Right.
So it's been an amazing journey. We both have lost friends over this because, like with you, I had so many friends say, no, just leave her. Because my big deal with my wife was she doesn't work. So I'm the sole provider. And I used to always say, oh, well, since I make the money, I do all this. I can do whatever I want.
Right.
There's ego to it.
Yeah, exactly. My ego was just, big.
And intoxicating, truly. An ego can be just as intoxicating as booze.
Oh, it is. It's very intoxicating. I go to the gym, and I used to walk into the gym with this giant ego, like, yeah, fuck you guys. I'm this biggest, baddest guy here. I won all these shows.
I've never done that. I've never walked
into a gym.
I've never.
I even changed gyms just so I could not be around the people that I pissed off. So it's humbling. Now I go to the gym and I have a smile to my face now. I don't approach other girls just to say, oh, hey, let me show you how to do it this way. Or even girls that approach me and go, hey, can you help me do this? And I'm like, and my wife now my wife works out with me more, which I'm happy with because it keeps other girls from coming and approaching me.
Right.
But they still approach when she's not there. I'm like, now I see it. I'm like, you just saw me yesterday with my wife.
Right.
And you're coming up to me today when she's not here and asking for help.
How do you deal with, because I'm a stand-up comedian, and the toughest part for me, because look, it's not like in a biker gang, but it's the lifestyle. It's the lifestyle. It's on the road, getting on stage, and girls coming up after, and hey, I can't wait to see you and all that stuff. And you're in a hotel room they pay for, and it's you're alone. And it was hard for me. It seems like, which is a good thing, is that you didn't saw the arm off. You just cut it off. You left the thing, and porn. I had to stop watching porn because porn was fucking getting me fucking going again. I was like, I want to go do some weird shit in a hallway somewhere. You know what I mean? It was hard for me to be alone. And not, and you say she comes back on weekends, but how do you deal with that now?
When I have those days when something's, just like you, when I have those bad days, man, I look for a meeting. Meetings save me. It's those meetings, and I am too easily tempted.
Yeah.
And so I need these meetings. So yeah, when I'm alone, I'm usually reading through my SLA books. I'm talking to my sponsor. I'm much closer to my family now, my kids and my mom. I've reconnected with my brother. So we talk. So that's replaced the going out and riding with the club all the time or going out to bars and hanging out at bars, which was really tough because for a while I was like, it's Friday night and I'm sitting home doing laundry. Usually Friday night I was out somewhere riding somewhere, drinking and chasing women, and so now it's, I'm home on the weekdays and I'm at night when I get home, I'm cleaning. But yeah, it's still an adjustment to not being out doing all this stuff and not getting ready to compete because that was the other thing my wife said. I'm done with the competing. I'm done with all the steroids. I'm done with all the attitudes and all this stuff. She said, if you want to continue to compete, go on, do it, but I can't be part of that. So that was another big adjustment, was to give up my competition because I do enjoy it. I enjoy it, but all the side effects that come with it, all the steroids you have to do, all the eating and everything, it's so time consuming and it's so self-centered. It was a big adjustment, but I'm actually getting used to it. I'm getting used to enjoying pizza or a burger.
Yes.
Me too.
We know.
Or just, like for me, the biggest thing is I love to watch hockey, but when I'm prepping to compete, TV's not part of my life. So this year I've been able to actually sit down and watch every single Ducks game and watch a game or go to games and
right.
I've been going to the drag races. And so I've been able to follow things that I really do like.
Yeah.
That I couldn't do before.
And enjoy them.
And actually enjoy them.
And feel it. Actually, you're actually feeling these things. And it sounds like to me that you have a life.
Yeah, and that's what it is. I thought my life was Rick being a bodybuilder, Rick being a motorcycle, Rick being a biker. And now I can just find out that I'm pretty good at being just Rick the husband, Rick the dad.
Right.
I'm pretty good at being just Rick. I don't have to be.
Right.
I always thought if I wasn't a bodybuilder, I would lose my identity. Who is Rick now? And
Right.
it still is. It's a little bit of adjustment because I'm like, what do I do? I'm actually, I'm more involved in my job now, which is a big deal because I love my job. So it's enhanced my life in other areas, which is it's becoming better and better every single day.
When I kind of, it's hard because it's good that the social media, I can't stress that enough, how fucked up.
It's a video game. You are disconnected from the emotion of cheating because you feel like you're playing a video game.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like if you could mainline heroin through your phone,
you would do it.
It'd just be dead people all over the fucking sidewalk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that's why I say food and sex are the two worst addictions to me because it's acceptable, especially being in a biker gang. You're supposed to. I mean, every persona you see on TV is a guy like you. It's almost like their women should accept that's going to happen. That's the way it is. Yeah. Comics, show business, same shit. And it's not when you like you said, was it Dane Cook had a joke? You're in a good relationship when your wife says, "Hey, can I use your phone?" And he doesn't step on it, light it on fire, and go, "It's broken. I'm sorry, my phone's broken." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that was my biggest fear is, "Hey, can I use your phone?" No, you can't touch this ever.
I would lock my phone up. If I went to the bathroom, it would go with me.
Oh, yeah.
My phone, I would never leave my phone by itself. And that's how my wife would catch a lot of my things, is that she'd get up in the middle of the night and get into my phone. And I still to this day have no idea how she would get into my phone, but she would find pictures, text messages.
We know how to crack. We could be incredible spies.
Oh, she always says this time, she should have been a detective. And I'm like, you should have been, because you found stuff I could never have. I just didn't know.
I remember when my wife found all my stuff. And let me tell you something. I was a professional cheater. I was a fucking pro. I had all my photos were in a file that said Star Wars memorabilia. When she called, this is what really shook my world. She called me a serial killer. She said, you're like a serial killer. You're just collecting people. They mean nothing to you. You're going to risk everything. You're living two lives. You're living the life with me where I'm your wife and we go to dinner and we get appetizers and we do Christmas and we go to party, family fun. And then you go and you're fucking murdering people sexually out there. And then I found out that you're a fucking killer. That's what she said to me. And it was like, that's exactly what I'm doing. But it must have been, it's terrible that it happened, but the fucking black cloud, when you made that decision and you were like, I'm done, and you got rid of everything and you admitted it and you were caught and it was over. Didn't you feel that moment of the sun came out? Like, I don't have to lie anymore.
There's no darkness.
That moment took a while because when she left, was just in this dark place.
Yeah.
Where I honestly didn't think I'd make it out of. And when I say I didn't think I'd make it out of, I didn't think I'd make it through the next day alive. There was so many days. It just, it was a dark time for me for a while. It wasn't until I realized one day in a meeting that I was working all these steps, or I was doing these meetings for the wrong way, for the wrong reason. I was doing these meetings to try to get my wife back.
Yeah.
And I had to change my outlook and I had to do those meetings for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I changed that mindset. That's when it kind of opened up and I felt like, wow, okay, yeah, things are going to be better. And that was my shining moment when I realized I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get through this. So yeah,
you had that moment of clarity.
Yeah, that's really what it is. It was just that clarity moment. I'm like, wow, things are going to be good. I'm going to be okay.
I mean, I've never had that. I still cheat on my wife constantly.
Yeah, he's a horrible person.
No, I'm kidding. My wife's gonna kill me. I gotta make sure she's out here somewhere. You know, the reason why this is so great to have you on, because people think of cheaters. People think the show cheaters. That, you know, when we have these people that are getting cheated on, you know, yes, it sucks for them. It's terrible for them. But it's terrible for the person that's cheating, because not all the time. I'm not saying that some people are just bad people, but a lot of the time, the people that are cheating aren't doing it because they want to. They're doing it because they don't know how to survive without doing it. It's their survival techniques. It's how they live their lives. It's how they fill themselves up so they don't feel pain.
Yeah. And again, I don't know any statistics or anything or what, but I honestly don't think that people get up one day and just go, I'm going to go out and cheat. I'm going to go cheat on my wife.
No.
It starts with some kind of disconnect at home.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the cheating starts with just an innocent conversation with the opposite sex. And then it just snowballs. And the next thing you know, you're exchanging pictures and you're exchanging sexual texts. And not that it's ever a justification for why it happens. You know, and some people like myself just have things in their past that have happened to them that lead you to get that validation for the other sex, to prove that you're a man.
Like for me, like I said, there was things that happened in my past when I was a teenager, that led me to always proving that I was a man, that I wasn't gay, that I didn't like what happened to me when I was younger, that, and I had to deal with that. I finally had to sit down and admit that something happened to me when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I had to deal with that. And it started to show me that that's why or part of the reason that I was always seeking that validation from the opposite sex, that I have a real bad time of having other men touch me.
Yeah.
You know, doctors, it's one of those things that I cringe when they do it. I'm like, and I've had to learn to get over that over years. So I
had the same thing, buddy. You know, I went my first week in rehab when I was 15. The guy, Tom Tompkins, just this gruff guy, smoked fucking Misty cigarettes, the Slim and Sassies. And he goes, what's the worst thing you carry around you never told anybody? And I told him a couple stupid. He goes, no. I want to know the thing that happened to you that you've never told anybody, that you carry around, that fucks you up when you're alone. And I told him, I go, you know, I did some weird shit with these friends or these other boys, and I feel like I'm gay. And he goes, hang on one second. And he goes, bring Tommy, Joey, and Mikey up here. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And he brought these 3 other kids. He goes, you ever fool around? You ever fuck around with one of your friends? Do you ever fuck around with a guy? Do you ever do some weird shit with it? And they go, yeah. I was like, yeah, you're not alone. The same shit happened to me, and I carried that shit around with me forever. And I realized, you know what? And I did the same shit. I'm a fucking man, and, you know, I want to prove. And then I realized that this stuff happens to a lot of people. A lot of young boys have shit that goes down sexually, especially from our generation, because we weren't talking about sex. We were just thrown out there, and you learn about it yourself. And we learned it from Porky's and porn and HBO and all this crazy, and Playboy and all these porno magazines. I learned sex from other kids my age, you know? And then later in life, I'm a piece of shit sexually. I have a joke in my act that my son, I want to teach him my moves, but all my moves, I'm pretty sure, are assault. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's just, we were kind of left out there. So that's so fucking great of you. A guy like you to admit that and say that, because there's so many other guys out there who have that in them and they don't. And when you hear somebody say that, it's like, fuck, I'm not alone. It happened to somebody else too. And these things happen. And, you know, and then here you are trying to prove yourself for the rest of your fucking life. And now you've went back and you're arranging this shit. You're replacing these negative blocks in your life, but you can't leave them. You can't take a block out and leave a hole. You have to put something back in there. You have to put a positive block back in there. And that's exactly what you're doing, you know? So you went from the fucking evil villain bad guy, right, to this fucking beautiful human being I'm talking to today. That's pretty crazy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. You know? Yeah.
It's heavy.
Sorry.
It's heavy.
It's okay, man.
Don't be sad.
I've never looked at myself as a nice person.
Yeah.
So when people tell me things like that, it really I don't know. It feels good.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to accept it. I don't know how to have people tell me good things about myself, just because I've always thought, looked at myself as just a screw up. Like I keep telling myself, don't fuck this up.
Yeah.
I just keep waiting for myself to screw this up. But I just keep telling myself, do these meetings, read your books, talk to your sponsor, and just don't fuck up. Don't do your normal stupid shit.
It's so funny. I'm 36 years sober, and it's still that simple. It really is. I had a very bad week last week, and the first thing I wanted to do was abuse myself. First thing I wanted to do, 6 years sober, was go and do something dirty, sexual, and they'll eat something. You know what I mean? It's not always going back to the drugs and alcohol. It's going to these acceptable things that I could I could do, and nobody's going to fucking know. If I go drink or use drugs, everybody's going to probably know. If I go do some weird, dirty shit, nobody's going to know.
Nobody's going to know.
Nobody's going to know. And it's my little dirty secret that I am that alcoholic, that addiction is talking to me and tells me what I can do. And it's as simple as what you just said. I had to go back to the basics. I had to reach out, I had to read the book. I had to do what I had to do, these little things to bring me back down to happiness, to reality, and shrink my life. Because I'll look 20 years down the road and I'll look 50 years back and I'll fucking hate myself. I got to go right now, this moment, this day, and that's all I got. And I'm going to make it till my eyes shut at night. And that's all my responsibility is. So I know how you feel, man. It's so funny how much I relate to you with this stuff, because cheaters, we're hurting ourselves. We're doing it. We're not trying. I wasn't trying to hurt my wife or my girlfriend. I really wasn't. I was just, this is what I had to do to not feel pain, to feel good about myself, to feel pride, to feel happy.
Yeah, that's it. You know, it was my way of hiding my pain. You know, there was like so many people who would tell me, you know, how can you have a bad life? Look at you. You got a great job. You have a great motorcycle. You have a nice car. Look at the way you look. How, you know, and I just sometimes want to tell people, man, you have no idea the pain I'm hiding. Man, I put on a smiling face, you know, and I put on all this front. But deep inside, man, everything I'm doing is just to cover up all the pain I felt for years.
Yeah.
And it's just a way of hiding it, you know. And you know, like a lot of bodybuilders I know, we're all very insecure, you know, and people always like, well, how can you be so insecure? You get on stage and you're half naked. I'm like, I'm blinded by the lights. I can't see anybody out there.
Yeah.
I can see my wife. It's pretty much who I focus on. But a lot of the bodybuilders I know, we're all so scared and insecure about everything. We're hiding so.
I would be scared if I was a bodybuilder, as my penis in those little tiny underwear. How I was just they're just staring at my little mushroom.
Yeah, it does get a little embarrassing sometimes out there because your butt's hanging out and your dick's hanging somewhere to the side.
My dick is never hanged, Rick. My dick points.
It's standing straight up and it's not going far.
I mean, look, we got to wrap up here, but let me tell you, it's so good to have you on, man. I relate to you so much. I mean, of course, not to your physique or your work ethic, but to what happened to you. And I wish you all the best. And it's you know, to come out here and be so vulnerable, it's going to help a lot of people out, I think, who listen to the show and watch the show, that they're going to understand that even if you do cheat, it's not just the people who got cheated on that are victims. It's the cheaters too. They're trying, you know, they need help too. The people aren't cheating because they're just evil people. They're cheating because something's wrong, and you know, and you can fix it. And you're a testimony to that. So I want to thank you for coming on, and you know, we'd love to have you back on, maybe down the road, just to check in, see how things are going.
Let me know. This helps me just as much as I hope it helps somebody else, because me talking about, I'm sure just as you know, through AA, me